There's basically nothing more painful than being rejected by your parents. And I think like a lot of people think that kids, especially like Gen Z and millennials, are just like walking away from their parents because they are spoiled brats and they just like wanted more than any human being could give. That's what a lot of boomers seem to think in my experience of these topics of conversation. And in reality, like walking away from your parents is one of the hardest things you will ever do. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but knowing that the people that are supposed to love you most only love you when you're living up to their expectations or within certain conditions and parameters that they've set, because they see you as an extension of themselves and not as your own human being, and they don't respect you as a separate human being. They view everything that you do through the lens of how does this make me feel, how does this make me look, and so you have to walk away. That was a run-on sentence. I lost my place. But when you grow up like that and you make the decision like, okay, this isn't healthy anymore, this is killing me inside, and you can see all the ways that it's killing you, even when you grow up, even when you move away, even when you're starting your new life, you can see all of the effects of that trauma of growing up like that, and you choose, okay, I can't do this anymore. Y'all want to act like that's an easy thing to do, like that's an easy decision to make. Kids don't just throw away their relationships with their parents. They struggle deeply for years and years and years. And I think because boomers were expected, and that older generations, Gen X and boomers, were expected to just put up with whatever trauma they had and stay quiet about it because of their World War II parents. Like, they were going through so much, and so they kind of taught their kids, like, if you're not at war, you're not experiencing trauma, so get over it. And then they learn to bury their feelings, and then they expect their children to do the same. But these generations weren't raised like that. Like, we grew up with the internet. We know when something's bad for us. We know when something's traumatic, and we are not going to pretend like it's fine. Just because it's not war doesn't mean that it's not trauma. And I think, like, sometimes it can be really hard for them to understand that it has nothing to do with being spoiled. It has to do with our generation has increased in self-love. We have increased in empathy. We've increased in mental and emotional intelligence. And I think that their generations were encouraged to suppress and ignore their mental health and their emotional and spiritual health because everything was just about, like, do you have food on the table? Which makes sense because their parents grew up in the Depression. So it's like, of course, that's the biggest thing. It's like, if you have food on the table, then you're not being abused and you have nothing to complain about. And I get it, but that doesn't work anymore. We want more. I think this idea that it's just like we're just throwing away our parents because we don't like them or we didn't get what we want, it's a massive excuse not to have to do self-reflection or do the mental and emotional work.